Hello and welcome to the Carson Elaine podcast. My name is Carson Elaine, and today I have my husband with me. Yay! He's very nervous. But he's doing so good. We had a little therapy sesh right before the pod, just trying to get ready, and we're so excited. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself, and then we'll chit chat. Here we go.
Hello, my name is Tyler. I'm Carson's husband, and I'm glad to be here. I work at the Cedar Rapids School District and as a mechanic, so that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, he's very nervous. So he also has a stream that he does on Twitch. His name is Major Corpse 57, and he's going to start streaming every week and posting more content. Do you want to tell them a little bit of your favorite games that you play?
Yeah, sure.
Close.
I play Call of Duty. I kind of play mostly first-person shooters. I do like the story games mostly, but I do also like playing with my friends, so it's kind of hard to pick my favorite game out of all of the ones that I've played.
So right now we're like kind of brainstorming on what game he should stream this week, and he's starting God of War because it just was like the free game of the month. So he's doing that right now. So he might be streaming that tomorrow over on his Twitch, and then later on his YouTube channel that we're gonna get all set up. Why don't you talk about how we met a little bit? So I can do the beginning of it. Is that a little better?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so I was crushing on Tyler for a little while because I had met him. He barely even remembers. I had met him at a football game my 8th grade year. And thought he was really cute, and that was the time where me and my friends were just like joking all the time, being like, okay, well, I claim that one's mine, that's my future husband. And I told that to my friends when I first saw him. I was like, that's my husband, that's what it is. And then I forgot about him for a year of 8th grade, and when I got to high school, we almost instantly met, and it kind of started pretty much day one with learning, just having like similar friends in common, and it like right out of the gate freshman year, it just kind of started. He started laying the moves out.
Well, it wasn't like I don't think we had quite the same friends. So I had the big like kind of
friends.
Yeah, well, I had like the country friends, the guys that you kept to themselves and whatnot, and then you had the lady friends that you got now, and I first remember us the big meeting of two lovers in high school. I remember it in the cafeteria, and I was like, wow, she's pretty cute. And so I started to talk to you, and that's when another...
No. You didn't talk to me. You went to my friend, Mitch. Hi, Mitch. Shout out. And you talked to him and, like, tried to, like bring me into the conversation.
Well, that was because your friend Mitch was the brother of one of my good friends.
Similar friends.
So you're okay. That's not similar friends. I picked on him as an adult. That I feel like that was probably not the best move, but it wasn't a mutual friend. It was kind of like a acquaintance.
Fine.
Your friend, my acquaintance.
So when we first met, it was like homecoming season right at the beginning of the year, right? And this guy was asking me to homecoming, and he was really cute about it. He was asking, Tyler just like signed 6 times. No, he asked me every single day for a month leading up to homecoming until I said yes. And I thought in my head, I was like, I probably will go with him, but I'm just going to hold out a little bit longer to see if Tyler will ask me. And we're texting at that point. and you were going to homecoming in a different school. And I was like, you bastard. Then I guess I have to go with the other guy. Fine then, whatever.
Well, I had already previously made the arrangements from a friend of mine that I had literally and when I was in elementary school, that I haven't seen in multiple years, that I was going to go over there and take her to homecoming because she had nobody. She moved away from all of her friends. But now I have a wife that's you, so...
Yeah, and we were very dramatic in high school. Not dramatic, but I knew what I wanted, and I was very, realistic, and I don't know. My mindset was always, I will fall in love and we can have a romance, but, once high school's done, it's done. And I kind of thought that right out of the gate. So I was, always open to being in love, but not ever wanting to rush into, dedicating my life to something when my life had just started. But I was I'm a very particular human, and Tyler's very patient with that. And he was very romantic, or at least, absorbed some of the romance that I was making him do. I made him take me on 5 dates before I would agree to be girlfriend boyfriend with him, which is so fun. And he took me on a few dates, and I think our most memorable one before we started actually dating, the one that solidified it, was we went bowling and all of my friends showed up.
I originally thought that it was going to be just me and you. And when your friend showed up, I was like, whatever. It could be a group event.
Yeah, and it's not like it was just a few of my friends. It was a solid group of 5, maybe 6, boys and girls. The whole squad just showed up and sat in on our date.
And I was planning on paying for just me and you. And I guess the place that we went charged on how long of a time that so I ended up spending $100 and something just for us to play 3 games. It was ridiculous.
Because they joined in. And then we ended up having to call your parents for money because we didn't have enough money to pay for everybody's socks and things at the bowling alley.
Well, yeah, I wanted to take you on a date, and your entire friend group showed up, and they didn't bring any money to to help to pay for their stuff. So, I mean, I was planning on paying for just me and you.
Yeah. I don't know. We dated for a while, and then we had a little bit of an on again, off again thing. Not to be dramatic, just to really do some self-discovery, and we really wanted to make sure that we were in it for the intentions. We didn't want to be together without trying other things or putting yourself out there or learning from other people or friends, or it's just really important, especially during high school, to kind of figure out who you are, and it's hard to do that when you're in a relationship the whole time. So I think every time we only took a break twice, but I think both times were really good for us. We both branched out, made friends, made memories.
Self-discovery type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we just took that time, but then every time we went apart, we just always ended up gravitating back towards each other.
Yeah, I mean, the last one that we had, it was, you were in college and I was in military, multiple states away, and it was just kind of hard to, go through life not having each other right next to each other, so.
Yeah, and I was in my senior year of high school when he left for the military, so it was just really hard because it felt like he was missing everything, and I was in a relationship but not in a relationship. I was basically single but attached to somebody, so I was going to prom alone. He missed my graduation, he missed a lot of my big moments, which those this like dug and dug and dug until we just thought that we were living completely different lives for a little while, and we needed that time, I think, again, to just grow and do more self-discovery. And you were traveling the world, going all over. You were going to Korea when we had, like, before we had started talking. You were planning on going there. And then, yeah, I had just started college. I was trying to get my footing there and figuring stuff out and who I was and what I wanted to be and do and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a weird rocky patch of just being super far away from each other and not really knowing, growing, just being kids.
Yeah, and he was more in it for, like, the long haul. He was, after a while, he really, really wanted to get married and had proposed to me a few times. He's holding up 3, but I'm pretty sure it was 6. And 3 of
them that mattered.
What are the 3 for you that mattered? I remember all of them.
A couple ones I can't say on the podcast.
The one is the one I count.
Oh, okay.
That's the one. So after he kept asking me, after like a few months, we'd gotten back together. He was leaving the military. We were looking at getting a house together. Like, things were going to look more stable for us to actually have a life together. And I was like, okay, you can ask me now.
Yeah. And then the biggest one that I knew was when I came home from the military and surprised you a day early, and I asked you in front of my entire family, kind of trapping you into saying yes.
I had already said yes. We were already planning the wedding, but I was going over to his parents' house for dinner, and he had surprised me there and asked me, and I screamed no at his face in front of everybody, and it was fantastic.
She then immediately turned around and said, I'm just kidding, yes, because my family was like, oh no.
Oh no. Alright, so that's kind of our story. Now we live together, we got married, we have 2 cats and a dog. We have Lou, Franks, and Ivy. Ivy's in here with us. She's being a little brat, okay? She just wants attention 24/7, and that's okay. Me too. Okay, he's also kind of a movie buff. Eventually, we're going to have a segment where he can spin off in some of his rants. He loves the Marvel movies and the ending and talking about all of the multiverses and the things. Last night, we saw the new Captain America movie. What'd you think?
It definitely tied in a couple of different movies that not a lot of people remember. But
what movies?
The Eternals, some of the original Hulk movies.
Yeah.
That brought back some characters.
Incredible Hulk, yeah.
And I think
it tied a lot of things in together.
It did. It tied a lot of good things together and things that didn't really expect to come to the next new Marvel movie. But overall, I think it was a pretty good and made me think of the other movies and kind of made us both really want to watch the rest of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, I do want to rewatch The Incredible Hulk. That was always one of my favorites. Hulk is probably my favorite superhero. I've always loved him. I had the Hulk hands until my dog shredded them up. So coming up, we're going to talk about Tyler's projects. He's going to start a streaming situation. He picked the song of the week today, and then we're going to get into some Reddit stories. So we're kind of still brainstorming, like nothing's like set in stone right now, but I have been diving into a lot more of my live streaming and content and the podcast and getting the ball rolling there, and we're going to try to get the ball rolling for Tyler too, like introduce him more into content creation, live streaming, creating content, and putting that on platforms. We have like a rough schedule. Do you kind of want to talk about here to start streaming and putting content out?
Yeah, we got a little whiteboard, and it kind of I just have to post before every time I go live, and I think we're both going to do that.
He's going to try to go live every single Tuesday for an hour. We're going to baby step it. Every single Tuesday we're going to go live and then keep posting content until he has enough to go live on TikTok, and then we can amp it up.
Yeah. And then Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, then I will post them whatever I go live and post content onto YouTube and TikTok and things like that. And, you know, obviously Carson has her awesome stuff on Mondays that for the podcast, so...
Yeah, and I have kind of always done stuff. I've had a YouTube channel since I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. I started recording stuff and putting it out there. So I kind of always knew I wanted to do some sort of content creation. I am a little artsy-fartsy. I do paintings, and that's kind of what I want to get to in full-time, or a full job, but I would love to be a content creator or like a face in media of some sorts. I always thought it was going to be like a Shane Dawson or Trisha Paytas type human, and I think the snowball is rolling a little bit, and I'm going to keep it going. What'd you say?
I said but better.
But better. It's just different. Yeah. I love them. But just like content. Some of my students have found my original YouTube channel and pulled it up at school, and they were watching me fall off my bed.
That's one of my favorite videos that she's posted. Not because it's embarrassing for her, but it's just like, it's funny to see the dedication to her keeping away from the camera after she fell.
I just have a slow crawl up the wall to like reach my hand up and shut off the recorder. So like where content creation comes a little bit more fluently and naturally to me, because I do it almost like second nature. Like I'm always I love photography, I love videography, I love doing that stuff, so it's easy for me in my brain to catalog those things to be able to put out content, where for him...
For me, it's more of a, I get lost in whatever I'm doing, and so then there's a long period of time without anybody talking, and then it's just kind of like, oh, yeah, that's right, I'm streaming, I need to say something, and then I get all up in my head about what to say and how to say it, and... it just doesn't make for good quality stuff, so I gotta just remember on how to figure that out.
Yeah, and to get out of his own head a little bit, too, because he's been psyching himself out a little bit. He got a little hurt from the TikTok numbers, and we're gonna work on that, and really just getting away from the numbers and growing a community who just really love you.
Well, it just really hurts when I, for me anyway, in my brain, I just like, I post something that I've worked really hard on, put my heart out there, and get nothing back. No views, no likes, no nothing really.
Yeah, I have had to teach myself and learn that I can take stuff in and I can feel it, and I feel it in the moment and I process it, but as soon as that's done, I remove it from my mind. Not through my mind, but I like put it to the side. I don't need to waste my energy on just like negativity like that, not just in like content creation but in life too. Like if a situation happens or a disagreement or anything, like I'll deal with it in the moment, I'll feel my feelings, and then it's resolved. And after that, if they're still feeling like things aren't resolved, then get it done. Either let it go or deal with it, otherwise it's going to take up too much space in my brain, and my brain is too crazy already.
Oh, trust me. I know.
Alright, so we're going to get into Tyler's song of the week. We only could play like a short snippet of it so we don't get flagged. So, here's Tyler.
I also, they gotta cut down so you'll immediately know the song through what it's gonna be.
This is just kind of how he's feeling this week. This is his song for the week.
And it's very true. I'll talk about it afterwards.
My Chemical Romance, Teenagers. There you go.
So the whole song is "Teenagers Scare Me," and that's really just based on the driving the bus. You know, you don't really notice on just day-to-day stuff about how mean kids are nowadays. Like, kids just pick on kids. They just, I don't know what's going on with them.
A kid came up to me the other day and was like, I see you attempted to straighten your hair today. And that stuck with me so bad. I was like, you little shit.
And I had one of those kids that were sitting on the bus mocking an 84-year-old bus attendant.
Aww,
just mocking
no.
him like they were being a little crazy. So he's just like, "Hey, quiet down back there." And then this little tiny kid in the back just like, "Hey, quiet down back," and mocked him.
Whoa.
Like, he is 84 years old. You're 12. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, little turds. Oh my gosh, I was with some littles today, and I was staring at this kid, and he's a little cutie. He stared at me right in the face and just went and chucked a ball at this girl's face. She just started he didn't even react. He just sat there. No reaction, no anything.
Well, I really like the little kids. You know, the little kids, they're just so innocent. You know, they have time to, like...
Are they, though?
Well,
Are
they have time to
little
make
gremlins.
them better. Like, to teach them, hey, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. You try to tell a teenager that, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, what do you know, boomer?
Yeah, people do some pretty, like, messed up things sometimes. And we're going to get into a little bit of that. I am going to pull up my Reddit stories. Once I make my husband fix my mic, I think I got it. Can you just tighten it? I got it. Thank you. I got it. Thank you. I actually need no man. I can do it myself. Except
for when it comes to shoveling the driveway and taking out the trash.
Those are boy jobs. Alright, so we're going to look at some crummy things that people did over on Reddit, and we're going to get Tyler's take on some of them. How you feeling? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. If ads pop up,
skip them.
Volume down, skip.
Volume down, skip.
Okay, just having him run the music in the background while we do this. Alright, number 1. And these are coming from the Am I the Asshole Reddit feeds. This one is called, My Husband Cheated, then he got cancer, and I left him while he was in surgery. My husband cheated, then he got cancer. I left him while he was in surgery. Now he begs for me back, and I don't know what to do. Some people might call me heartless, but let me tell you the whole story. And then you can decide. 2 years ago, I caught my husband sneaking around on Snapchat with a former coworker. At the time, we were already brutal, miserable marriage counseling, etc. because he acted like he hated me, like I was the root of all of his problems. Meanwhile, he had no problem running off at a moment's notice to help other women, especially his old high school flame, who was still hanging around in our social circle. Would you let, like, an old flame hang around in our circle?
Yeah, absolutely not.
We do!
Oh, okay. No.
We do have something in our circle, but at this point, it's, like, not even...
it's gone through. We've all talked about it.
It's so cycled out that it's not even like a first thought anymore. Yeah.
Everything's good.
When I confronted him, he admitted to the affair. It broke me, but I stayed. We had 3 kids. I thought we could rebuild. We went to therapy. I fought for our marriage. Then, last fall, life threw us another curveball. He got cancer. It was serious, but treatable. He needed chemo, which meant he needed a port surgically placed in his chest to make the treatments easier. It was right there at the hospital, waiting for his surgery to be over. I was still being the good wife. Then his phone dinged. I picked it up, thinking it might be something important about his treatment. It wasn't. It was her, his high school sweetheart. The one I had always been polite to. The one he swore was just a friend. The one who was always conveniently around when I wasn't. My heart pounded as I scrolled through their messages. At first it was innocent, catching up, miscellaneous things, reminiscing about old times. But then I saw it. He had tried to hook up with her during the same time he was screwing his coworker behind my back. He had also been trying to get her into bed. 2 affairs, 2 betrayals, and here I was sitting in a hospital waiting for this man to come out of surgery so I could hold his hand and tell him we'd get through this together. I was livid. But then, a strange thing happened. I didn't cry, I didn't break down, I just felt done. Done with the lies, done with betrayals, done with him. I stood up, I walked out of the hospital, I drove home, packed up my things, packed up my kids' things, and I left. By the time he woke up from surgery, I was gone. No dramatic goodbyes, no confrontation, just silence. Now he's going through chemo. And despite everything, I still make him freezer meals and arrange for people to take him to his treatments. I make sure he has what he needs, but only at a distance. And the irony, he begs me to come back. He says he's changed. The cancer has opened his eyes, that he finally understands what's truly important, that he's sorry, that he loves me, that he can't start over. And now I'm left wondering, what if he's telling the truth? What if he really has changed? What if the man who betrayed me, hurt me, and destroyed my trust is actually capable of being the man he has always been and should have been? I don't know what to do. I want to believe him, but I also know that if cancer hadn't forced him to face this mortality, he might still be sneaking around behind my back. Is a second chance worth the risk, or is it just a little too late?
Well, first things first, I don't think he loves you. You know, if any person decides to cheat, they're not in the whole thing together, so there's no point in trying to salvage that. I would have just left the first time, but also going through chemo is probably one of the hardest things somebody can do.
Just having cancer. My stepmom has recently had cancer. It's been a lot to go through, and it changes a lot of things.
For a lot of people, yeah. And I'm not saying that he deserves a second chance because he had cancer, because as it said in the story, it
can put things into perspective. If he was having doubts, if he was pulling away, like that's something, like being so close to like maybe dying, can put a lot of that into perspective.
Well, it's kind of strange that it was happening before they found out that they had cancer, and then it happened again while he was in cancer, which in a perspective reason.
She found out that it was at the same time he was cheating before. It wasn't, I don't think it was a current thing.
So it only happened when he was having cancer.
No, it happened previous. It happened previous to him having cancer. Both of them, I think.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't think that it would be a thing that they should have continued on. I think she did the right thing. I don't think she's an asshole.
Yeah. No, I think what she did was really strong, and I don't know. Yeah, you would just be done. You'd just be done. Top comment is he doesn't care. He just wants someone to take care of his loser butt. Once he is back to being healthy, he will cheat again.
Agreed. I think that once he's cheated and cheated again, so it happened 2 times, so it was more likely in doing it again. Like, 1 time, you might be able to forgive him. 2 times, that's it. You know, there's no going back.
Another comment that I like was he was cheating on his wife and cheating on his side pieces. You can't tell me his high school sweetheart didn't know he was married. Coworker most likely knew as well. If you are knowingly involved with someone in a committed relationship, you are willingly participating in cheating and not in being cheated on.
Yeah, agreed. Especially because they said that the high school flame was in their inner circle. So I think obviously she would have known. There's no way that she would not have known if they were in the inner circle. She's probably invited to the wedding.
Yeah, they hang out together. She goes to their things.
I don't know if the coworker necessarily knows, because there's some coworkers that I work with that doesn't know anything about me, you know. But I mean, obviously, if they're cheating, they know something about you. You know, I don't know whether or not marriage is the first thing you bring up to somebody if you're wanting to cheat.
So this next one is kind of a long one, but are you ready?
Always.
Okay. This is going to be the last one because I have to poop.
All right.
All right, here we go. You're on it? Okay. Am I the asshole for abandoning the family business, my toxic dad, and letting my boyfriend be petty towards him? I, 28 male, started working for my family business a few years ago. They had no online presence or know how to market themselves properly. I ended up having to make them a Facebook page, update all of their services to include everything they didn't know how to do. Before that, they just cut grass and hedges. My dad, let's call him Dan. Dan always complained that nobody paid correctly for cutting grass. Dan would say, they want me to cut this lawn that takes all day with 3 people and they want to pay me pennies. So I got tired of listening to Dan complain and decided to take over. Dan would literally yell at the top of his lungs about it. I asked Dan, so what do you know how to do? Dan, would you tell me and I would put that on the page. I would even upload all of Dan's photos when he would actually take some. I then set up a Google page for the business and changed the name to make it sound more appealing. Are you good?
Yeah, just drop my phone. You're good.
Then, Dan and Sons Landscaping Services and get him new insurance for business. My brothers, let's call him Andrew, work for the company too. My grandmother also, let's call her Diana. Okay, so we got Dan, Andrew, and Diana. You got this?
Sounds like an old 70s film.
Okay. Okay. Where is I at? Here we go. Getting the insurance was a pain because Diana was stuck in her ways, so was Dan. Needless to say, they didn't like change. I also, at the time, too, was up at the mantle for making the area. Some of this wording is not typed very well. Okay, so I'm sorry for any mix-up or whatever. Skipping ahead. I even made flyers for the company. It was hard at first for everything to get approved, but in the end it did. The changes helped the company to become more profitable, even with constant screw-ups. I ended up having to take the estimate side of things too. I would go with Dad and write stuff down, then help him figure that out later on. I didn't get paid for any of this, by the way. To be honest, I should have. I would only get paid commission. Needless to say, I was extremely undervalued at the company. Absolutely do not do work without getting paid.
No, never. Even if you're getting underpaid, do the job that you're there to do and just take what you deserve.
Yeah, don't go above and beyond for people who would not do that for you. The commission Dan would pay me would always be poop. Dan would get to the $1,000 job, then give me $20. Dan would tell me, since you live with me, I'll take it out of your living expenses. That is if I got paid at all. I would have to then save up for anything I wanted to buy. It was a real struggle. I worked that job 7 days a week most times. It didn't really let me have a life now that I think about it. The job started to get really annoying. I would sometimes have to call Dan 50 times for him to pick up. if he was late to an appointment or a customer had an issue, and I would have no clue how to solve customer issues. Dan would also have me call for getting a price on all the materials for jobs, but I would have sometimes no clue what type of material it would be. Dan sometimes had an issue with the specific on what he needed. It got to the point where if he didn't answer, I would either reschedule or BS the customer. Dan also would change his mind a lot. Dan would tell me, oh, book it for tomorrow morning, then get upset in the morning that he had an appointment at 8 a.m. He was a real piece of work, to be honest, to deal with when it came there. Dan also had a habit of hiring some terrible workers. They had issues with waking up. They had issues with doing the job correctly. They had issues with breaking things, customer stuff, and company stuff. They would steal off the company, and one even did drugs on the job. Finally, one impersonated the company and took money off a customer and never did the work. Dan ended up having to do it for free. Each time, Dan let them get over and never did anything, just complained for weeks on end. Dan also had issues with customers too. This one guy he consistently worked for would always pay him way less than the job was worth, and Dan would always complain about him, but whenever he called, Dan dropped everything to help the guy out. I never understood it. Dan would also let customers owe him thousands, never sent them anything or did anything about it. Let's just say Dan was a real pushover, and the company suffered. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because it sounds like this guy really just needs space to vent about Dan and is getting things off his chest. I think generally he is just pissy about it. And I don't know if I'm loving it. Anyway, I'm going to skip to the end. If you want to read it, it's on Am I the Asshole? On Reddit for abandoning my family business, my toxic dad, and letting my boyfriend be petty towards him. Okay? I'm skipping to the end. Sorrows, I really gotta poop. It just is what it is. Okay? So this one is Am I the Asshole for quitting my job, realizing I'm better off not living with my toxic parents and moving out. Can you open this, please, and get to my song? Yeah. Thank you. And also not letting my boyfriend get some petty revenge on him. And essentially Andrew too, since Andrew worked for Dan. I think that was just too much. And I don't think really anybody is the asshole here. I think OP really just needed space to vent. I think that's what this is.
I think it's kind of mixed. I think that OP has some valid things that he needed to say, which aren't not true. You know, he seems like he was doing a lot of the work for the company, not getting paid for it, and also getting treated like crap.
Yeah, I think a lot of these, it's not the am I the asshole. It's like that you had to put up with things for so long, and you learned your worth and what to stand for, and I think it was very powerful for you to stand up to your people, but I do think it was a big venting sesh, which is fine.
And also, like, if you're not liking the way you're being treated, then stop doing it.
Stop it.
It's not worth the mental and physical abuse. It's not worth it. Just stop what you're doing and figure out a good way to make yourself happy.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for coming to the Carson Elaine podcast. My name is Carson Elaine. I was here with
Tyler, her husband.
And thanks. Come back again. Bye-bye.